Hello everyone, happy Friday. For those who didn't see my intro video yesterday, hi, I'm Melly the Dreaming Yogi. I'm a dream interpreter and holistic healer who helps overwhelmed and sleep-deprived women find the root cause of their anxieties so that they can live a balanced waking life through dream work. So today we discuss the risks of sleep deprivation as well as the benefits of having a good night's sleep. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the benefits in dream interpretation and give you a couple of tips on how to sleep throughout the night. So as I was saying yesterday in my intro, I've dealt with a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, and those all led to having insomnia. So I have read a lot about it personally and have fixed my sleep schedule. Sometimes it's a little wonky here and there. And hi, I have a viewer. Thanks for watching live and for everybody who watches the replay. So I am going to start off by explaining the symptoms that I personally get to see if anybody resonates with those when I don't sleep well, as well as some of the more common ones. Mine tend to be a little different, but still relate to the overall side effects of sleep deprivation. So first of all, insomnia is when you've had more or less 3 nights of disrupted sleep for about a month or more. They can become chronic if it's more long-term or short-term, but that's the gist of what insomnia is. For me, when I struggled sleeping at night, I actually have stomach pains in the mornings throughout the whole day. If I do not sleep well, my stomach starts hurting, I lose my appetite, I just feel I get extreme headaches, I just feel really, really drained and really lose my focus, pretty moody. I know it's a bad day when I do not have a good night's sleep. So the overall risks of not sleeping well and having sleep deprivation is you can get more breakouts and the puffy dark circles under your eyes. You can gain weight because some people may start craving more junk food as a way to cope with being tired, or just, your body just starts craving it. You could tend to drink more caffeine to counter the effects of being super tired if you haven't been sleeping well, which kind of goes in a little cycle. The caffeine will later still stay in your system and prevent you from falling asleep, so then you drink more caffeine and it's just this little cycle. You can get moody. It can also affect your mood by either getting cranky or being or feeling down and just sad. You can lose your focus, so procrastination can be heightened when you're sleepy because you're fighting off falling asleep and you can't really focus on the task at hand. And these are just common general symptoms. If any of them resonate with you, let me know. And some symptoms can be different for some people as well. Like I was saying, I tend to lose my appetite, and some people tend to crave more junk food. So it also depends on the person. You can have poor memory. It's really hard to remember things when you are running on empty, basically. If sleep is like your fuel, then you're running on empty if you're not recharging yourself up at night. You can also wake up with headaches and just have consistent headaches throughout the day, have body pains and tension. It is a cause of high blood pressure as well as some heart issues in some bigger cases. It can also create hormonal imbalances as well as heighten your anxiety or depression for those that deal with that. And so basically these are just like a list of things that can affect you if you are not sleeping well and if it's just becoming a constant. It seems like if one night you sleep late and just kind of sleep really off, it falls into the next and creates another cycle as well. Everything is all in cycles. So it's really important to just see how you personally feel emotionally and physically when you're not sleeping well. So just maybe journal tonight and start noticing, just like how I know the symptoms that I get that are a little bit different than the list that I just talked about right now. So start tuning in and noticing what symptoms you personally get. Now, for the more fun stuff, what are the benefits of having a good night's sleep? And if any of this resonates with you, please let me know. I know comments are a little bit slow on Facebook Live lately, so I will definitely get to them as soon as I see them, or when I get off live, I will comment back. So some of the benefits of sleeping, just overall, our body repairs itself when we sleep. And it's kind of like when you connect your laptop to the charger or connect your phone. We need that recharge period as well. So there are an enormous amount, getting tongue twisted, enormous amount of benefits to having a good night's sleep. So not only will you just feel better and super refreshed, you'll be very focused. It also repairs your tissue. So if just bodily tissue. So your hormones will be more in control, and those are the hormones that affect your hunger levels. So those are going to be in control. You'll be better at making decisions because your mind is completely focused and alert, and it's working at its full capacity. So you'll make these better decisions. You'll feel less stressed and you'll feel happier. You'll also avoid accidents. I heard somewhere that driving when you are very tired is almost as there's a high of risk as if you were driving buzzed, so we know not to drink and drive, and the effects of driving while you are very, very tired is just as high as if you were drinking and driving. So that can just tell you what a huge risk it is and how important it is to sleep better. So you would avoid accidents. You can maintain a healthier weight and have your attention is more sharpened, you're more focused, you will have spur of creativity just flowing around, because imagine how much you can do when your mind is fully rested and ready for the day. And so it'll improve your memory, and you'll learn things quicker and easier and just be a lot more productive. So those are a lot of benefits, and the risks are very, very high. So it's very important to keep a sleep schedule. Now, and a good night's sleep. So, okay, I just said the bad and the good. So what now? Sometimes it seems like we just can't control how our sleep comes and goes. Although there's a lot of things that we can do that will help it. That'll help us sleep better. So if I'm not seeing comments now, but let me know in the comments when you see this, how many of you have trouble falling asleep? So once your head hits the pillow, do you have trouble falling asleep, or do you knock out right away? So that's one situation. Or maybe you can fall asleep. Maybe falling asleep is not the issue, but you feel like you have so much to do during the day that there's not really a time. You have to wait until odd hours of night to fall asleep until you finish everything. But once you get to bed, you fall asleep. So that's another situation. Or once you're in bed, you feel like you're falling asleep, good time and everything, but you keep waking up in the middle of the night and your sleep is disrupted. That's not a constant night's rest, and that can also affect your mood and everything else that I mentioned. So those are the three that I could think of right now. Let me know in the comments which ones affect you, or which ones you can relate to more. Or if none of these relate to you, then you are very lucky. I have a couple of suggestions to having a better night's sleep and to sleep throughout the night. So the main first step would be to create an appropriate dream space, your sleep space, which is your room. And in dream work, we call it our dream chambers, which just sounds fancy, but it's just a fun way of saying your room. And just kind of notice how the setting is in your room. And I will leave that up to you guys. Just notice if there's any clutter, or are the colors very, very bright and they wake you up, or what you have around your walls. Do you have Halloween stuff. Halloween just ended. I actually still have Halloween decorations up, so I placed this very carefully so you wouldn't have to see that. But just notice, because keep in mind that your room, and right before you go to bed, your room is the last thing you see at night. So whatever that environment is, you're bringing into it in your dreams. And even if you don't remember your dreams, everybody dreams. Unless you're on some type of medication that prevents it, but for the most part, everybody dreams. You just might not remember. So whatever's in your surroundings, even if it's a stack of books and papers and receipts that are just kind of in the back of your mind and you're like, I just don't look at it, it's okay. It's still there and it still kind of clutters your mind, and you're bringing that into your dream world when you go to your dreamland. So keep that in mind. It's also, it can affect your sleep, and if you're waking up thinking, oh, I got to do the laundry because there's a pile in that corner. So those are some things to keep in mind. It's also the first thing you see in the morning. So when you wake up and you have a calendar right in front of you with all the bills you need to pay, the appointments you have to run to, meetings you have to organize, whatever the case may be, that's setting the tone for your day. So maybe that's not exactly going to set an appropriate mood and can create a little bit of stress, and then that stress leaks over, once again, another cycle leaks over to dream time because you're still thinking about all the things you have to do. And also, if you have that calendar in front of you, that's not something really pleasant to fall asleep to. So I usually recommend keeping those things out of the bedroom. If it's work related, study related, we want the room to be a really peaceful environment. It's your sacred place. The bedroom should be for relaxing and resting. So keeping those boundaries in those rooms, not keeping bills and things like that can just subconsciously enter your mind, because it'll be a reminder of a bill you have to pay, as opposed to making the room, like once you enter the room, it's, everything is turned off, you are shutting down. That is your outlet to recharge. Tools to help you fall asleep better and sleep throughout the night, and creating your dream space is one of them. Also creating a clear boundary between your everyday tasks and going to bed. So how many of you are rushing, doing your things, doing your chores and everything, and then go to bed and expect to go to sleep immediately? And like I said, if you can fall asleep immediately, that's awesome. But for the most part, that's not creating a boundary. You're still with the tasks that you just completed and then going back to bed. There's no real routine into getting into that sleep state. So it's not going to create a very smooth transition. So I would recommend doing some kind of sleep routine, and it doesn't have to be long. It is recommended to unwind at least 2 hours before bed, but some of us don't have that much time. So unwinding would be ideal, taking those 2 hours to just relax with your family, maybe after dinner, shutting everything down, not being on the phone or the computer, because that affects our system. The blue light that comes out of the electronics suppresses the melatonin, which is the hormone that allows us to regulate our sleep and wake cycle. So that being able to unwind and doing all of that and not exercising or doing any very strenuous activities like going for a run or anything mentally activating as well. If you can stop doing that at least 2 hours before, that would be good. If not, at least 1 or 30 minutes. Anything is better than just trying to shut down the computer and going to bed. Those would be some suggestions. So creating that boundary between your waking life and your dream time. And this can fit whatever works for you. If you're not into yoga, you don't have to do bedtime yoga. Just find the activities that you like. I'll mention a couple with which bedtime yoga would be a good one if you're into that. But I'll mention a couple, and you could take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. I personally use a lot of essential oils, and some of the best ones to fall asleep are patchouli and lavender. I actually mix those two. A great friend of mine recommended that, and I love it. Or you can use them individually. Lavender will relax every part, your muscles, your mind. It'll just relax you and allows you to fall asleep throughout the night and fall asleep faster. And patchouli is very grounding as well, and it has those properties. Vetiver, it helps too. That one kind of smells a little more earthy, and it's a little bit harsher, but it's really good for falling asleep. Cedarwood, chamomile, and there's also a blend called Serenity with doTERRA that has lavender, and it has a bunch of other combination of oils that all help fall asleep better, so making this blend called Serenity. Also, what I do is I have dream catchers over my bed. It's there's a whole bunch of stories and beautiful legends behind the dream catchers. I usually add crystals to mine, but I recently got a car diffuser from Margarita from her shop, and I just wanted to show you guys that I have one for my car, but I told her I was being a rebel and I got another one and put it on my dream catcher. So I have this over my head, on my wall over my head, and I put a drop of lavender on it, and that's one of the tools that I use at night. If you have a diffuser, you can use a diffuser, or you can use let me take it out, the car diffuser. It's not just for cars. Or you can uncap the bottle. I have some peppermint here because it's calming, but you can just uncap the bottle and take a couple deep breaths as well as another way of using these oils. Just don't apply them unless you know how to safely dilute them, because they are very concentrated. So that's just a little side essential oil education. But those are some of the best oils for falling asleep. And there are others, but these are the main ones. You can also drink tart cherry juice, which is a natural melatonin. So like I mentioned, melatonin is what helps us regulate our sleep and our wake cycles. There are some supplements to take those. I can only speak from my personal experience. I've taken melatonin before and it had a weird effect for me. For me personally, it would knock me out right away. It tasted like mint chocolate, so I liked the taste, but it would knock me out within 30 minutes. But in pretty much exactly 5 hours, I would wake up very startled, very like somebody just jolted me up, and that was not a very nice way for me to wake up. I have heard that the more you take it, you can be suppressing your own natural melatonin, so I would just prefer or recommend the natural way, the tart cherry juice, and these other holistic tools to not really affect with the body chemistry. And other things such as having a warm bath, or I have a kind of a neck pillow that has some chamomile beads inside, and you can microwave it. So I microwave it and I put it over my shoulders, and the whole thing with the warm bath or the warm neck pillow is it's going to relax all your whole body, and especially those points where we tend to hold our stress more, and that'll help us clear our mind and fall asleep better. So when we are stressed and our body tenses up, if we can relax our body, then our mind will follow, and vice versa. So if we can at least control how our body just relaxes its muscles, then our mind is gonna be right there after it. So that would be another tip. For those of you that use crystals or know anything about them or want to know more, I use selenite, which is very cleansing. It just cleanses the energies around you, but it also removes negativity, so I find that it really helps with my negative thought patterns. I personally added amethyst, and for dream work, amethyst is really good for helping you fall asleep and have sweet dreams if you struggle with nightmares. So I have these in my store. I call them dream wands, and I brush my aura on all sides, and I do it like from top to bottom on all sides. I personally do it 3 times. That's a little ritual that I personally do. And I will share a little story. My little sister was having really bad nightmares, and she felt like maybe some sleep paralysis as well. And she said that in the week that she used the wand, as well as a solid amethyst that I had given her, the whole week she didn't have that, but the one day that she forgot it, she had the nightmare again. So that's just a little testimonial from my 14-year-old sister. And So those are a couple of tools that you can use as well. And try not to have the television on before bed. I know that's one of my weaknesses. I love watching movies before bed, but I know that I'm not gonna stay asleep the whole time, and it really just affects with your mind. Or the the cell phones or laptops, things like that, trying to stay away from the electronics before bed. At least 30 minutes, ideally 2 hours, but at least 30 minutes prior would be great progress. So those are a couple of the tips that I had for you guys. I also drink a tea called bedtime tea, and that also has some of the properties of like the lavender and the chamomile. So drinking that before bed, reading a book, the routine should really fit the things that you like, the things that will make you feel happy, and like you're bringing in not only a sleep routine but also me time, because reading a book with a nice hot cup of tea and your neck brace that's warm, that's a really soothing self-care tip as well. So find the best tools for you. These are some suggestions, and that's what I had for sleep. Now, if this all works for you, or you're not struggling and you can sleep throughout the night, I did want to mention real briefly how dream interpretation can benefit you from healing certain emotions that may have been suppressed, or just maybe there's a lot of times that we don't realize the types of emotions that we're just pushing down, and our subconscious mind is really, really good at making them come up in the weirdest dreams. So if you don't remember, I definitely have a couple of tips in my course to help you remember your dreams. But for those who do remember, I will share one of my stories, because this is the best way, I guess, through experiences, to share how it has helped me find the root cause of my anxieties, the ones that I mentioned I was having yesterday in yesterday's live. So right when I started feeling those anxieties and panic attacks that were happening in 2015, I was having a reoccurring dream. And this is actually how I started with dream interpretation, and doing it for myself and little by little doing it for others. And up until now that I'm actually teaching people to interpret them themselves. So I was having a reoccurring dream that I had just bought a house or rented it, and I was in this new house, but it had the previous owner's luggage and boxes, and it was just cluttered, and it was overwhelming me because it didn't feel like my own space. It was filled with things from the previous owner, and I felt more of a sense of fear, like what's going to pop out of the box. It's not my own. I don't know what to expect. So this dream kept happening. Certain themes may have changed. The room may have looked a little bit different, but it was the same theme. So when I got into dream interpretation, and I did start off by reading some books and just looking things up, houses represent yourself, your mind, body, and soul. And what it was trying to tell me was that my subconscious was trying to tell me that the negative baggage of other people was affecting me. And it made a lot of sense, because during that time I had just gone through a breakup. I had a fallout with one of my bestest friends. I was feeling guilty for things that weren't even my own. So if, a couple was having an issue right in front of me, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm here. It must be me. Things like that. And I've always been a people pleaser, and bringing those guilts as my own and trying to just help everybody out, even if it was on top of my own health. So that's what my dream was trying to tell me, that the negative baggage of other people was affecting me, and that was my root cause of the anxiety, at least one of the anxieties. So once I just realized that, and at that point in time, I wasn't into dream work. That was my first really eye-opening aha moment, that I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Because I used to, as growing up, I would hear, and I don't know if any of you have heard, kind of more superstitious, like I've seen books that even say if you dream of an ugly baby, and I'm not kidding you, this is what the book said, then that means something bad is going to happen in your life. Things like that, which didn't resonate with me because that seemed out of the blue. So when I started researching and understanding dream interpretation as a way the subconscious mind has to express its true emotions and more of in a psychological kind of way, that made a lot of sense to me. That the baggage, because I was dealing with a lot of issues all around me that weren't my own, but I was getting as my own, and I hope that makes sense. So once I just became aware of that and that kind of veil opened and I had my aha moment, my dreams started changing, and they were gradual, and that's why I'm really fascinated with dream work, because my next dream was the house was still a little bit cluttered, but I started problem solving. So I started thinking, okay, I could just call maintenance and they will take care of this. In another dream, I thought, I'll invite a friend over and we'll make a party out of it. I'll buy her pizza and she'll help me out. And I started getting like, oh, maybe they left some goodies here, like a nice board game. Like, let's see what I find. So it changed the mood. And the very last dream I had ever in that series was I was in an empty house. I loved it. It was very big. It was really nice. The only people inside were my mom, my dad, and the landlady or landlord. And my mom wasn't too convinced of the house, but I said, you know what? I like it, and that's what matters. It wasn't affecting me. And I had, I had also dealt with caring too much about what people would think about the decisions that I made and opinions of others. So that meant that I was going to be doing things more that I knew were right for me and not care so much about the opinions of others. And then we noticed that the main door was very skinny, and that meant that I was going to be more selective with who I let in my life. So that is hopefully not too long of an example of how I use dream interpretation to first become aware of what the issue is and what the root cause was. And from there, I'm also a holistic healer, so I use these tools like crystals, essential oils, the tarot, yoga. I use these tools to find the best way to heal from the emotion that came from my dream. So those are the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I do have a dream healing program where I cover a lot more detail on how to sleep throughout the night, then how to remember your dreams, because you can't do dream work if you don't remember. So I talk about a lot of fun tools for dream recall, and then we get into different dream symbols, because the very important thing about dream interpretation is there are books out there, there are websites out there, and even the things that I can tell you, they're always going to be at least a bit biased, especially books. They're going to be biased on what the author believes and feels that symbol is, because every symbol is unique to us. So in my interpretations with my clients and what I teach my students is you can have the overall basic understanding of what the symbol is, but always add what your personal interpretation is, and then find how it ties into your current or a past issue. So that's what I had for you guys today. I hope this helped, and I hope you can have a great night's sleep. And I didn't see comments right now, but I'm pretty sure I have some. So I will check them as soon as I get off here. So thank you so much for watching live and for watching the replay. So have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.